Hello, Sir War God here, and today I'm playing a little Battlefield 4, and I'm going to talk to you about the attack chopper and hopefully give you an idea of what kind of options you have with it and the tactics that should be used in flying it. The attack chopper is the middle ground as far as maneuverability between the transport chopper and the scout chopper. It's not nearly as maneuverable as the scout chopper. The scout chopper is crazy maneuverable, and the transport chopper is, it takes forever to even change direction on that thing. This thing's kind of in between. It's probably not as maneuverable as it should be. It's very difficult to fly and stay alive for very long. But hopefully some of the tactics I will show you here will at least help you get started and understand what you need to do to get some kills with this thing and stay alive. You've got a few options here with your primary weapons. You have the Hydra rockets, the Zuni rockets, and the Smart rockets. The Hydra rockets are a versatile rocket pod system capable of eliminating infantry as well as light, medium, and heavy armor. This is your basic entry-level main weapon, and it's a large pod of rockets, and frankly this is the one I always go with, right? Because it gives you the option to kill armor and kill infantry, no problem. The other option we have here is the Zuni rockets. The Zuni rockets it's a versatile rocket pod system capable of eliminating infantry as well as light, medium, and heavy armor, but you get less of them. It has a bigger warhead on it, right? It has a little more splash damage, but you get less rockets. I find that more difficult to deal with, right? The chopper is a little bit difficult to aim, especially when you're first starting. So you want more rockets, and the Hydra rockets, I think, work better from that. I say go for the Hydra rockets. The other option here are the Smart rockets. The Smart rocket, it's a rocket system with built-in guidance that will track toward the nearest armored target after being fired. It works pretty well. Doesn't do nearly as much damage as the Zuni rockets, but it does enough. And if you just kind of point it in the general direction, and I mean you have to certainly point it in the direction of your target, of your armored target, it will change its course at the very end and zoom towards that enemy tank or armored fighting vehicle and hit it, right? Kind of nice, but not nearly as powerful as the Zuni rockets and not nearly as useful against infantry as the Hydra rockets. So at the end of the day, I say go with these Hydra rockets. That's what I'm going to go with. For your secondary weapon, you have either the Heat Seekers or the Tow Missile. There's really no option here. You go with the Heat Seekers. The Tow Missile is so hard to control. It's just like the Tow Missile in the armored fighting vehicle. You have to point the aircraft where you want that tow missile to go, and that's so difficult, especially when people are shooting at you. That's just not doable. So always pick the Heat Seekers, I say. So you can shoot down or have the option and the ability to shoot down enemy helicopters or jets that are trying to attack you. Countermeasures wise, we have the IR flares, the fire extinguisher, or the ECM jammer. I go with the IR flares. I want, whenever I hear an enemy fire a rocket at me, a homing rocket at me, I want to know that rocket is going to miss. So I go with the IR flares because that's what that gives you. You drop those flares right after the enemy fires a rocket, a homing rocket, and that rocket will follow the flares, and it will not hit your vehicle. And I really like that. Your other options are the fire extinguisher here. The fire extinguisher, sorry, let me get back to the right section here, is an integrated fire extinguisher system that clears any critical states and starts the vehicle recovery. Can only be activated when in a critical state. So essentially you get you take some damage, you get your vehicle down to really low health to the point where normally your health will continue to drop, right? And then your vehicle will blow up. So you've got to get out of your vehicle eventually, and it won't be long before you're dead if you stay in it. Okay, useful, but at the end of the day, I would rather have the missiles not hit me in the first place. So it's your option. You could go with this, but I think the IR flares are better. The ECM jammer. When activated, this countermeasure will prevent targeting systems from locking onto you and will disrupt any incoming missiles for a short time before it needs to be reloaded. Okay, so this has the advantage of breaking locks that the IR flares don't really do so well for very long, right? The IR flare will make the enemy lock onto the flares themselves for just a few seconds, but then they can lock right back onto you. With the with the ECM jammer, the lock is completely broken. They can't lock onto you at all for several seconds. However, if they lock onto you and fire a missile, and you then activate the ECM jammer, that missile could still hit you if it's coming at you from the front. If the missile hits the little puffs of smoke that come out of you when you activate the ECM jammer, then it will fly around you in circles. It has a lower chance of hitting you, but it still may hit you. At the end of the day, I go with the IR flares because I want to know that when I release those, the missile will miss me. Upgrade-wise, few options here. Gyro stabilizer, air radar, stealth coating. The gyro stabilizer, sorry. It's an automatic system that helps you to stabilize the vehicle after receiving a critical hit, right? So sometimes, actually every time, you take a mobility hit from a missile, it'll make it difficult to control the vehicle. If you're close to the ground, you can hit the ground, you can hit a building, and die very quickly. With this option, it makes your vehicle more controllable faster so that you can miss the ground or miss the building. I usually go with this one. I like it. The air radar replaces the minimap with a radar display showing airborne targets in a large radius around the aircraft. Now, there are times where this is useful if you have a good gunner, right? And you're going to use that gunner to kill ground targets for the most part. You are going to make sure, as the pilot, that any enemy aircraft or helicopters are unable to attack you, right? So you want this radar so you know whatever is up there in the air with you, and you can target those or deal with those threats appropriately. This air radar helps you do that in the air. The stealth coating, very handy as well, special plating that increases the time that it takes for targeting systems to lock onto a vehicle. This, just as it says, makes it so when somebody tries to lock onto you with a lock-on rocket, it takes longer. This is pretty nice. But at the end of the day, if you have the IR flares, you can break that, the missile lock, and ideally pop behind a building and get out of the way. So, you know, I would probably go with the gyro stabilizer. That's what I go with. Paint, go with whatever you want. If you want to blend into the sky, go with blue sky. You know, if you just want to look cool, go with something like the flanker. You know, if you are on a green map, you can go with some of these, let's see, woodland patterns. I frankly just like to look cool, so I sometimes go with the Black Shark, or because it took me a long time to get it, go with the Phantom. So I'm going to stick with the Phantom. For the gunner secondary weapon, you have the laser guided weapon. This is for the gunner seat. Once again, it's a laser guided anti-tank missile that requires the user to maintain lock on to the target. Can also lock on to laser designated targets even if they are out of line of sight. This is nice for taking out ground vehicles. You get this first before the TV guided missiles. And this is just your standard laser guided lock on weapon. If the aircraft is pointed at a vehicle in the general direction, you can lock onto that vehicle, fire these missiles. They'll hit that vehicle as long as they don't produce their countermeasures. A very handy little weapon. TV guided missiles are what I go with because they can't be as easily countermeasured, essentially. The TV guided missile is a missile controlled by the user via a remote camera, effective against armored targets. It is possible to kill infantry with it. I've done it once or twice. You essentially just have to directly hit them with a rocket and get a roadkill, which is difficult to do, but possible. But really, that's what your main gun is for when you're in the gunner position. So the TV guided missile, the secondary position is for killing armor, and the TV guided missile does that really well, and they don't know it's coming most of the time. So you just fire this missile, hit the armored target, and they're going to take some massive damage. I always go with the TV guided missile. Gunner optics, few options here. You have the gunner zoom, which is just a standard zoom, 3x zoom when activated. That's what I always go with. You have the infrared night vision, which works really well when you're trying to pick out individual soldiers who are hiding in the trees or whatnot. But you can be blinded very easily by this. I usually don't go with it. Same with a thermal. It's great for picking out individual units, individual tanks, individual players hiding in trees or bushes, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I like the zoom when it comes to using the main gun, so I go with the zoom. For the gunner upgrade, you have either the belt feeder, which is an enhanced mechanism that reduces the time taken to reload, or the proxy scan. or proximity scan, I'm sorry, scans the area surrounding the vehicle, revealing enemy movement on the minimap. Pretty handy if you're flying low and you're going to be in areas where you think there's a lot of people, and maybe easier to spot people on the minimap and take them out with the gun. But I say go with the belt feeder. It gets you faster reloads, and usually if you're spamming the Q key like you should be, which spots enemies, you should be finding those enemies on the ground. Alright, that kind of goes you over all the options for the attack helicopter, so now let's actually go fly it. Like I said, we're in the test range. We have our Phantom camo. We're going to use the W key as power to go up, and if you let go of the power, it'll kind of hover, just like this, and the S key will reduce power and drop you towards the ground. Alright, so I'll use the W key to kind of pull up a little bit and hover. The other controls here are the S and the D, which give you your yaw, back and forth, and then with either your joystick or your mouse, I personally use a joystick, I love the joystick, you can pitch forward and use W to give it some power. This is how you move forward and gain speed. Or you can pitch back and use W to give you some power, and this will make you move backwards or bring you to a stop. So your first basic maneuver is kind of to use W and tilt forward to get going fast, get going fast, and then you decide you want to stop. So you pitch back, use the W key to increase power, and here you go, you're out of hover. Now you can use your S or your D to turn while you're hovering. It's a beautiful thing. Now with your mouse or your joystick, you can pitch right, pitch left, pitch right, pitch left. And so now, with that, you can use your W key to move forward, gain some speed, pitch left, and pull back on the stick to turn. Right? Or you can push your W key, gain a little speed, tilt down, and turn right and pull back to turn right. Very easy once you get the hang of it. Alright. Now, you can use these things in combination to do one particularly useful maneuver, and that is the circle strafe. So you see this boat off in the distance, this attack boat. We want to circle strafe it. We're going to use W and tilt forward to move towards it, and then we're going to use W to have power, pitch right, and the left yaw, the left rudder, to continue to circle around this boat. And you want to practice doing this. Just practice circling. Circle, 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 circle. Keep circling, keep circling, keep circling. This is the maneuver you're going to use to kill. You cannot kill any vehicle, any heavily armored vehicle with one group of rockets. You're going to have to reload to kill that vehicle. Alright, so you practice circling, 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 okay? And then you're going to practice firing while you do this. This is how you're going to kill heavily armored vehicles. So you put a whole clip or a whole pod of rockets into the vehicle, you reload, now you're reloaded, now you put your second pod into that vehicle. Alright, you keep circling, put your third pod into that vehicle, and it's dead. That's what you have to do. Now, I will, to use the rockets, it's very important that you use this little I-beam. That's how you guide the rockets. You'll see it kind of in the middle of the screen going around my crosshairs. So sort of the bottom T of that I-beam is where the rockets are going to fly. So you put that on your target. We'll say this attack boat right here. We're reloaded and fire. That's where it's going to go. You'll notice that it moves all around while you are maneuvering, but wherever that T is where your rockets are going to go. So that's how you aim your rockets. I hope this has been useful. Please like and subscribe to my channel if this has been useful to you. Like my video, and subscribe to my channel, and give me some comments. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see. What can I help you with as far as, say, Company of Heroes 2 or Battlefield 4? And just practice your chopper skills. Fly low, fly fast, and practice circle strafing. Well, that's been it for today's video, and there's a crash. Alright, Sir War God signing out. Thanks. Bye-bye.